My Supra versus my R32 GTR.
Okay, yeah.
That's what you're asking.
Yes, yes.
Supra.
Okay, there we go. There it is. Settled. Supras are the best car, and GTRs kind of suck, unfortunately. So thanks, Brian.
GTR is a better car. GTR is better.
And we are live with the second ever podcast at MartiniWorks, where I have Carmel making his debut. In other news, I have another debut to you right now. And
Yeah, anyways,
Listen,
so
okay.
Big JDM car.
Brian is here,
Yeah.
and he is a wealth, an absolute wealth of knowledge.
Do you remember? Do you remember the books that you had to buy before the internet? It was
No,
like
I don't read books.
Encyclopedias that you had in the library.
And Brian
He's
has one of the
that.
coolest jobs in the world because he
Yeah, not
gets
so
to
easy, is
just
it?
deal with JDM legends all day. Brian, what do you actually do there? Do you just enjoy the cars, or do you have a job there?
What's your actual title?
I am not the person that enjoys the cars.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yep. So I'm a director at Top Rank Importers. We're based out of Cypress, California, which is just south of LA in Orange County. Yeah, it's real nice there, and we got a lot of cool cars.
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot of them. You drive some cool cars too yourself. You have a Mark IV Supra.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I've got an R32 GTR. Yeah.
Seems like it's been kind of like a headache to build too. Like you had some deadlines you were meeting and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I've got an R34 GTR. Hey.
Oh, you just dropped. You just dropped.
Yeah, so y'all gonna learn about it right here first. But yeah,
Damn.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
color?
It's silver.
Okay.
Yep. So it's gonna go in line right next to my Supra with my favorite silver cars.
I still think probably the high point of my trip when we were at Irwindale for Formula Drift was coming out to Top Rank, getting to drive your R32,
Yeah.
an R33,
Yep.
the Supra,
Yeah.
but most importantly, above all else,
The Honda Beat.
the Honda Beat.
Oh my man.
The
I
Honda
don't think
Beat.
I could get in that.
Oh.
You may not,
No.
Yep.
but you may not fit, but you'll still get in it.
Yeah.
Like it just your body will just get
I
contortion.
fit in it, but I can't drive it.
Right. Brian's tall as hell. So that gives me a little bit of.
Well, Brian's you're from Wisconsin.
Yeah, from you know, it took me about 25 minutes to get here from my parents' house.
Look at that.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Small world.
right?
Yeah, think about that
Small
for a
world,
quick
bud.
second.
Grew up right here.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's wild. And just so everybody's aware, for the 6 people that are still watching, because I have to legally say this, Dakota doesn't work for me. He is a guest on this channel. You understand?
Hey.
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
No.
All right? And Brian works. He's not even in this state, so I don't.
However,
I'm not
he is in
disclaiming
this-
that, but he's also not soliciting advice.
Cappuccino
Nope.
macchiato.
Nope.
Caramel.
There it is.
Caramel
Yes.
macchiato
Caramel.
is gainfully employed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is gainfully employed.
Right.
Full-time.
He's director of hospitality.
Benefits.
Let's talk about the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I made a short reel on Instagram with Brian when I was out there, and I asked Brian the value of some of the cars that were sitting in the lot, so to speak.
Yeah.
One of which was a 400R.
Yeah.
And that was evaluated or valued at $2 million. And the internet broke. The video got like 5 million views. It got shared.
5 million?
Yeah.
It's at 11 and a half.
Oh!
It got shared everywhere.
Yeah.
And the world is all up in arms. Everyone.
I mean,
is
that's an
upset.
expensive car. I can understand the frustration of
Yeah.
seeing that.
So Brian,
Yep.
you know, regardless on how ignorant the world wants to be on the value of JDM cars,
Sure.
was the value of those cars pretty far off? Because you don't even have that car anymore.
No, that car's sold. Actually, so what's funny is when we filmed that video, right, the car hadn't sold and hadn't even been listed for sale yet. And we talked about the value and what it was going to be and stuff like that. And the car did sell, and it even hasn't really been that long. I mean, it sold pretty quick. So obviously there was a buyer out there who understood the value and aligned with that, despite what, you know,
Angry commenters were saying.
everybody with a Hyundai N or whatever drives.
Don't even get me started on
so,
Hyundai Elantras.
You know, it's a rare car, and I did get a lot of people that are like, "Oh, well, it's not, you know, it's not $2 million, it's not $1.5 million car." I'm like, "Okay, why?" And they're like, "Well, it's not like it's like a Porsche or something, or like a Ferrari or something." And I was like, "Okay, why? Why isn't it like that?"
Yeah.
You know, they're like, "Oh, well, you could get an F40 for that," and I was like, "Actually, you could also get an F40 for the same price when this car was new." So when the car was new, you could have bought an F40 or a 400R. And for the same amount of money, you could buy an F40 now or a 400R.
Yeah.
And same thing with like a Carrera GT. People are like, oh, or an LFA.
Yeah.
What was the MSRP on the 400R?
So they were initially supposed to be around $120,000.
Holy
But
shit.
they went up to, as soon as people kind of started placing orders, that doubled pretty quick. So it was about the same price as a.
So I mean, like honestly, it being that price isn't that crazy. I just don't think people realize.
No, I mean,
what
when you
these
look
cars
at
are.
other cars that are just as rare, or in some cases less rare, that are just as desirable from that same era, I mean, the pricing is there. There's other Porsches in that area that are. I mean, you look at what is it, the 996 GT2?
Yes.
Right. I mean, okay, rare car, same era.
Yeah.
Also the same price.
Yeah.
So
What's crazy to me is, and this I don't know if I appreciated the depth, was Porsche value is always what I kind of like associate some of the JDM cars, because I know the Porsche market pretty well. So the value of Porsches and them being astronomical when they used to not be that way, I can kind of understand it. But I didn't understand the heritage of a lot of the Nissan cars until I went to Japan and got to spend a couple days going to like the Omori factory and learning all about the racing and heritage that Nissan carries in these cars. I know a little bit, but like Porsche carries a lot of heritage around its racing pedigree.
Yeah,
it does, always has, always will. But so does Nissan in its own unique way. Like if you go into the stories of Nissan, there's just as much books there as there is for a Porsche 996 GT3.
yeah. So the problem is that Porsche, we'll use them as an example since we're already on it, raced all over the world, right? And Nissan kind of only raced in Japan. And even to this day, a lot of like Japanese car racing still only really happens in Japan.
Yeah.
So people haven't been as widely exposed to it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You looked at like the R33 race in Le Mans,
Yeah.
right? So, but most people are like, nah, that would never,
1996.
there's no Japanese cars in them. Yeah, there is, and they came up with a car that commemorated the LM, R33 LM. So, I think a lot of people just look at it and they're like, okay, if I look at it and say, okay, it's a Porsche. Like they're no, but it's like, okay, it is a car, right? Other cars are also cars.
But that's the most hilarious
like
thing.
that
We were
statement.
talking about.
Put that on a t-shirt, Alex.
Yeah.
Other cars are
For
also
real.
cars.
Other
Yeah.
cars are also cars.
Yeah.
Old forums, if you go out like on old Porsche forums, you can actually find like mid-early 2000 posts of Porsche like 993 turbo owners and 964 turbo owners talking about how these turbo cars were going for $25,000-$30,000, and they thought that was too much money for a Porsche. Like you can even go back right now. You can go on those old Porsche forums and find these people that were saying that back then, and now they're going for hundreds of millions. Of dollars.
Yeah, these 993 turbo cars, where like an okay one is like $300-some thousand now. They were, that's 10 times what they were not that long ago.
Yeah.
So, but people look at it and say, oh, but that's a Porsche.
Well, yeah,
And I mean,
Porsche,
other
Porsche
cars are
also didn't
cars.
really know. I mean, they have some fantastic stuff. Don't get me wrong, but like Porsche's QA sometimes in those 80s and 90s and stuff, until they got the money from their SUV espionage in the 21st century, they weren't doing all that hot in terms of quality control. So I don't know. It's super interesting to hear what that JDM market is looking like. Now, I've asked you this a million times before, but this is the only time I've asked you with cans on my head. What do you think is like the next, Japanese car that's going to appreciate in value?
Yeah, I mean, well, the R34s are already doing it, right? So you've got like cars like the R34 M Spec NER, which is, these are not, I'm not saying it's my number. This is Haggerty's number, $1 million for a nice one. Right now, that's the last 285 cars produced. Obviously, you can buy them for a lot less than that. You have R34s like the N1. They only made, 38 of. That's a pretty rare car. So outside of those rare ones, we'll say the R34 in general, right? So not just the GTR, but even the GTTs.
Yes.
So a GTT a few years ago, you could probably pick up for $5,000 to $7,000. Now they're like 50.
That's so insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know like Randy kind of did that from Eliminate. He picked up that R34 and then.
So the thing is, for people that are like looking at an R34 and they're saying, look, it's $150,000, R34 GTR, $150,000, or I can buy an R34 GTT for 50. You know what I mean? That's still a third the price, but that's also like 10 times the price of what they were. So
Right.
when you look at it that way, that's a big appreciation jump.
So to compare, because I'm still on this Euro thing, would you say that like a GTT at a price point of 50K is comparable to a 996 turbo? And then secondly, a GTR being at 150 would be a 2010 turbo S?
No, I mean, so I would say like a GTT is like, okay, you buy a 996 Carrera, right? And then, you know, maybe like a GTR is more like a 996 GT3.
Okay.
And then, you know, as you start getting into some of the more limited models, maybe it's a little bit more different there. But, you know, they're similar platform. It's just, you know, just different.
Same, but different.
No, car is a car.
All
yeah.
cars are a car.
Cars are also cars. Yeah.
Cars are also cars. Cats are also cats.
Yeah. But I mean, outside of the Skyline stuff in general, I mean, I think the Supra, even though it's a 6-figure car now, in most cases, still has a lot of room to grow. The RX-7 has been super popular.
The
those
Supra,
really
the
went
Supra's totally worth it.
Yeah.
I feel like without a doubt, no matter what price it was back in the day, whatever price they go for now is still worth it.
So here's a fun fact. Do you know when people say, okay, yeah, but a Supra's not as rare as a GTR? True. But a Supra Turbo is as rare as a GTR because they made about the same number Supra Turbos as they did R34 GTRs.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
So the difference is you see a lot of people that buy NAs and swap them.
That's really interesting.
Is that the
even
same-
with it, like, because the Supra was made in America too.
Isn't the USDM worth more than the JDM?
Okay, you
heard
you got time for another podcast?
Oh, here we go.
All right. Here's
I'm giving you
every
60 seconds.
every USDM Supra owner and RX-7 like to defend their real estate by saying that it's somehow better. And when you ask them why is it better, they say, "Oh well, you know
Hold its ass.
the JDM one's got ceramic turbos over there." Okay, well, you still have stock turbos on your Supra, bro? Well, no, I don't. Okay, so then what does it matter?
Right.
So they're not worth more.
In my opinion, no. I mean, it's worth as much more as you'd like to be on the left side of the car.
Huh. Do you think the same thing's to be said about the NSX?
Yeah.
NSX USDM, they're saying, is more expensive than the JDM.
Why?
equivalent. Listen, man.
Oh, because it's the one you have?
I don't have
Oh,
either.
yeah, I got you, dude. I got you. Yeah, no, and same thing with RX-7s, right? I mean, arguably, some of these cars are more desirable, especially as you start getting into the fact that, you know, Japan got the RZ model, which is a lot more, you know, lightweight, interesting, has the Kevlar Recaros. You look at Integra Type R, same thing. When people get done beating that horse to death, where it's like, cool, you got the uglier headlights, and then you went and swapped it over to a JDM front. But then you're going to tell me that your car is somehow worth more because it's a USDM car? Boy, get out of here.
Brian gets heated on it.
It's all right.
Brian doesn't like that talk. He don't like that slander.
It's all right.
Okay, so is there any? We know about the Supras. We know about the Skylines. They're going up.
Sure.
Is there any cars people should be importing and they're not?
Okay. Well, you can't import these yet, but I will say the Evo 5 to the 6.5
Hell
is
yes.
a banger of a car.
It
is
is
so
It is.
So, and I'll also tell you the next one, like super hot ticket item, is the S15 Spec R.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to drop another fun fact on you. I bought one of those too because so this is me putting my money where my mouth is. Yeah, so I got a white S15 Spec R because I know the value of those cars is going to skyrocket. And the reason is when we sell cars right now, S13s and S14s tend to not do so well because people will say, well, I'll just buy one that's already here. I'm not going to pay the extra money, to import one, stuff like that. Fine.
Sure.
There is no S15.
Right.
There's no equivalent.
You have to import.
Yeah, so you have to buy that one.
And they look so freaking
They look
good.
amazing,
Yes.
you know,
They look
and
so good.
And right now you can buy them in the high 20s to low 30s,
that's
and that price is going to double, you know, in about 11 months when people start importing.
I was just gonna say, when
I
did it
gotta
become
go. I'm gonna see if
importable?
I can get a.
yeah.
Hide your butt.
But yeah, so I think the S15 is going to be a banger for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody can snag one of those. As far as cars that people aren't importing, but maybe should be importing, anything Honda right now has a lot of value in it. I think people tend to love Honda stuff. I mean, we do pretty well with the Integra Type R
I
and
love those cars.
we've got
Integra
so
Types
good,
are
so good.
so pretty.
Civic Type R's on the way right now. You know, so the CTR I think is gonna be popular, but
Championship white.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but there's also so much other cool kind of Honda stuff that's out there. I think, like even some of the Preludes and stuff.
Oh, dude, I think Prelude's super underrated.
Yeah.
So wait, Dakota and Gels and I were talking
Mm-hmm.
because we were talking about doing some sort of fun, silly challenge of some
Yep.
kind, and I still cannot get the Honda Beat driving experience. Out
If
of
you
my head.
want it, I will ship it to you.
How?
What is this
You've never seen this Honda Beat?
infatuation? I seen the video of you driving
It's
it. but, like,
designed by the same people that design Ferraris. That's all that matters. It's got the reliability and heart of a Honda.
It is a rear engine mini NSX, if you will. Convertible.
when you say it like that, see, he's
with
he's
zebra
saying it the
seats.
He
right way.
sells the car.
You're
He
saying
should be
Zebra
better.
seats.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like if
true,
you have
that's
this car, you're Radwood King. Yeah.
I want to ride in it super bad, but I don't think I can fit.
Like
so
a more Corky
And for-
Romano would drive this car.
Yeah, see, this is why I think we should get 3 of them of different variants.
I can't fit in it, and for that reason, I'm out.
You will pull back the seat. We'll get you some thin seats so that you can get a little bit more space. You'd love it.
All right, if you're picking up the tab, I'll drive
We
it.
should be able to ship 3 of them in a single,
U-Haul.
like a single, just sideways.
Yeah, just carry them here.
Honda makes good stuff, so like I'm a little bit on board, but I'm not fully sold on it yet.
See, I'm on the K24 train forever.
I know you won't shut up about them.
Listen, man, I can't help it. It's
You
an
should
affordable option.
K-swap that Rari.
Yeah, for
Listen,
real. Put
when
your
the-
money where your mouth is.
when
Let's
the head-
swap
when
the
the-
Ferrari.
When the head gasket goes out, I'll be like the guy from Stansworks, and I'll put a K24 in it.
You-
he's
you
aiming-
will?
Yeah. Oh, on my life.
Wow. Okay. All right.
He's
Lots of
getting.
big news
He's
on this
aiming for
podcast.
1,000 horsepower out of that 308. By the way.
Wow.
So if you guys don't know, I can't remember his first name.
Me either.
But he has his Stansworks. He has a white Ferrari 308. He debuted it at SEMA. Really awesome YouTube series. If you guys want to watch it, definitely recommend checking it out. But he's aiming for 1,000 horsepower, sequential gearbox. This whole big turbo setup, and it looks gnarly. It looks so good.
It sounds gnarly.
Oh, it's probably more reliable than 308.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally anything is more
Yeah.
reliable until you get to like 430, 458.
Mm-hmm.
My 430 is super reliable.
Well,
Ish.
I've never seen it like fully functioning ever.
What do you mean?
What doesn't work on it right now? I'm sure there's something.
That does not work. Everything
Or works marginally.
Ish.
The air ride.
It works.
No, but it leaks, right?
Yeah, it leaks.
See, there's always something.
That's
There's
not a
just
Ferrari.
something going
It's a
on.
That's
pro-
not a Ferrari
No,
part,
you're
though.
right. You're right.
That's not a Ferrari part.
Get out of my
Well,
face. The window gaskets are going
I'm not
out.
talking shit about Ferrari or their car. I'm just saying
It's
He's
called
only your car.
specific one.
Hey,
Yeah,
He's
that's-
only shit talking
yeah,
your
listen,
Why
car.
don't
Exactly.
hey
This
listen?
is a
It's a
personal attack.
project build, okay? They have quirks and features.
Don't stop normalizing having a Ferrari project car.
I'm gonna normalize having a
Unless
junkyard
if you
Ferrari
K-swap
build.
it, then I'm down.
Well,
Until then,
when the engine
I want to
blows,
hear about it.
when the engine blows, I'll be down.
Okay, let's blow it up. It's probably not far.
Listen,
You've
if I sell
overheated
it,
that thing
we're
like-
so
oh.
far away from it. But
Wait, you're selling it?
well, if I have to
Oh.
make room for 3K cars,
Dang.
Wow, that's a power move.
think about it. We could fit 3K cars in the same.
What are you going to do with the other 90% of the money?
Yeah, for real.
Oh my
Build them.
god! Yeah, turn them into rockets.
Oh my god, that's
Oh, that's wild. So you have the R32 Supra. We've talked about that car before, but you race. You drive that bad boy, the R32,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, beat it.
How's that been going? Explain, I guess, in the last couple of minutes that we have, what's it been like going from figuring out how to build the car, getting it actually race regulated, and then actually racing the car?
Yeah, I mean, so I've sold hundreds of these cars. So I've had the opportunity of seeing a lot of them.
Reggie.
Well, I mean, the point is, I've had the opportunity to see and drive almost all of them, right? So I got to know pretty much what exactly I like. I know what different suspension setups feel like. I know what different wheels, tires, and all the other kind of turbo setups and stuff like that feel like without having to do it to my own car. Right. So I got to build kind of a wish list of what I know I like. And a guy that I work with named Sean Morris is like a GTR genius.
I thought you were the GTR genius.
No, everything I know I've learned from Sean. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and he's been super helpful in that too. So when I, restored that 32, originally my idea was I wanted, a good street car, a little show car, something I can take around to little car shows and be like, look at my car. You should buy one. And then, the more I started driving it, I was like, it's just the street is not enough. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, so started driving a little bit in the canyons and some stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, I mean, this is fun, but like we could do more.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then,
Getting hungry.
That's how it starts.
so did a track day with it. And kind of discovered some weaknesses, some kinks, some things that I kind of wanted to fix and change a little bit. And I did that. And the cars were really good. So it's like, what else can we do? And there's a thing in Southern California called Nissan Challenge. They do them kind of throughout the country, but the one in Southern California, it's 11 races, like a series, and you compete for points. It's like Global Time Attack, but it's for Nissans only. So it's like, I'm going to enter Nissan Challenge and I'm going to see how it goes.
Can anybody get into the Nissan Challenge?
Yeah. So there's different groups, right? You could be in like a beginner group, kind of all the way up to whatever. And it's kind of rated off of what tire you're on, horsepower and experience. So I started doing that. It was my first year this year doing it. It was super cool. So I learned a lot about the car. I learned a lot about like what I want to change and what my power goals really are. Most people are like, I want 1,000 horsepower. I want 800 horsepower. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Now go on the track and try to use it all.
Yeah, no shit.
Like
Absolutely.
it doesn't work that way. And when people are like, oh, if I tell them my car is 440 horsepower, people are like, that's it. And it's like, okay, yeah, but it's like you can use all of it.
All of it.
Yeah,
400 horsepower is a lot of horsepower.
Yeah, well, people are like, my
let's be clear.
My
Okay?
SRT
cousin's
Hellcat,
boyfriend's
yeah.
SRT is.
Yeah.
Back I would say what would that be? 12. What year is it? 2022.
Sure.
Okay, so
It's
when
almost
were we
2022.
16?
I don't know.
When were we 16?
When
It
I
would
got
have
my driver's
been
license. I don't know.
2010. I got it for you.
Thanks.
That having 400 horsepower, which typically came in the form of either an Evo or a Skittle. Dodge
400R.
Neon.
Yeah.
No, like modified. That you ruled the streets in MR2, SW20.
Yeah.
If you had 400 horsepower to the wheels, you were killing everything out there. And nowadays
it's
people
this,
are like, this 400 horsepower doesn't make it.
Well,
It's awesome.
the thing is it's called horsepower to weight ratio.
Yeah, there it is.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Your Hellcat weighs like 3 times what a lot of these tuner cars weigh. So
I got the opportunity to drive a bunch of different cars on the track back to back to back, and I don't know how.
Josh.
Yeah, shout out to Josh from Continental. But I'm accidentally throwing a bunch of shade now. I drove the Challenger. It was the worst by far. It was horrendous. It just floats around. They make it like a daily commuter. Like you want to be really comfy inside. The car is huge, and even though it has all that power, it didn't feel good driving it. So Brian made a good point of like, there's these 1,000 horsepower cars. Nobody's using the 1,000 horsepower. And I really learned this when I got into bikes, was when I went from a 600cc to a 1,000cc.
Yes.
And the 1,000cc is super fun. It was insane. I couldn't outride it. I couldn't outride a 600.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I think people can do that with cars too. Is like, take it to the track and let's see what you can
It's
actually do.
It's crazy you bring that up because bikes are the greatest way to show that driver mod example.
Yeah.
I still remember having a 600R and then moving to an R1, or I had a Duck for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting on that bike and being like, I'm never going to get what this bike was built to do out of it. With my driving, or with my riding experience, it's not even close. So it's a perfect way to explain that.
Yeah.
That's wild. So you got through. You're in the challenge still because
It's
California has nice weather.
it's done for the year, yeah, but we're starting back up again. I think the first one is in February.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
and the car did good.
Yeah, car did good. Driver could use some improvement,
That's
but
how
I'm
she
working
goes.
on that.
Driver mod.
So
Seat
yeah,
time. Seat
yep,
time. Seat
yeah.
time.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about why are my cats orange.
Nope. I have spicy questions. We're not going to talk at all about why the cats are orange.
Okay, bye. So we're back, and we've got all sorts of JDM cars all over the world, and I would argue that the YouTube community probably has like springboarded a lot of the popularity of Japanese sports cars. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with
100%.
that.
Every influencer is like
Every influencer is
has
going
this
to Japan.
garage of thousands of Japanese cars.
Subtle brag.
That's exaggerating, but
not
and they're
really.
going to Japan. Yeah, this is the year of every automotive enthusiast going to Japan, except me.
That's all right.
me.
It's fine. You can come with next time. We'll pack you in a
Please,
a
for
suitcase.
We're all on the same flight.
Yeah,
That would be
Private jet.
wild. Okay, so
That was a
most
big
of it's been good, right? I would argue You know, you've got TJ Hunt. He just got his R34, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
awesome. Dustin Williams has had his R34.
Been driving the
for a while.
hell out of his
Driving the heck
R34
out
in
of it.
Japan. Shit's so inspiring.
Love Dustin Williams content. Still one of my favorite.
Randy
automotive YouTubers.
from Eliminate. He's
Randy's
been out in Japan.
He went there, shot awesome content.
Yeah, he's still making
Samet
content.
came over here for a
Yep.
while. He was at LZ Invitational, right? Doing some awesome stuff too. So like mostly everyone, right, is shooting content around the Japanese sports car market in like a healthy, engaging, you know, empowering way.
Yep.
And as a side note, it's giving it a global presence.
Yeah.
By the way.
There is a global presence also occurring that is in the complete opposite hemisphere of the world. Whistlindiesel.
Oh.
You've seen his videos.
I wish I could say who.
Everyone knows him, right?
Yeah.
He did a GTR series R32 where he did, what was it, like a vehicle stress test?
It was like R32 plus R32 equals R34, even though that still doesn't make sense. But what did he do? He stacked the two Skyline. He destroyed them.
What is your, you know, what is your opinion on people that are abusing the living crap out of those cars? What do you think about like Whistlindiesel taking?
Well, I don't think this is I mean, if you want to abuse a car, like go for it. Like on a track or you want to beat it to death somewhere else, that's fine. Like if you want to be like the Gwar of car YouTubers and just go for shock value on stuff, like by like literally flinging human feces on people in the front row, which is what I think his content mounts up to, that's fine. Like, and like honestly, if he's getting paid, like that's cool. Like go do you, man. You know, like other people get
He is
paid.
getting paid.
You know,
A lot of money.
yeah, I'm sure he's making a lot of money, and that's all it is for him.
So-
But for his followers, right? Like if you like giving dudes like $1 million, like say you go buy all of his merch, he uses all of that money to go buy Rolexes and a steamroller, and steamrolls over it and goes, I'm out of money. You guys should all buy my next merch drop so I can go buy these whatever next shoes and a Caterpillar and run it over. Or like,
So you think it's just shock value?
it's 100% just shock value.
But when you want like,
He's not an automotive YouTuber.
but okay, so wait, this is interesting because he built that monster truck. That thing's
Monster
wild.
Max.
That literally was in the water.
Sure.
And I liked it. I thought it was.
I mean,
really
I
cool.
think he started out in the right direction.
Okay,
Right.
But you think
But-
him like taking the R32s and doing a
Or what about, like I kind of like the G-Wagon video.
the
Like,
G-Wagon.
I think it'd be
video was
like, Alex,
awesome.
it'd be like if I walked downstairs and I lit your Ferrari on fire and I put it on the internet and it got 10 million views and I just decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on people's podcasts and then afterwards I'm going to light their cars on fire. And then now that's my whole channel.
I mean, if you want to do that, I'll
if
record
you
it.
were to.
I mean, I think that's what he did. I think because, correct me if I'm wrong, Bud is like buying a bunch of Dior shoes and running them over with like a grater or whatever it was. Like,
But he's
is that automotive
no,
content?
Well, okay, so here.
No.
It's shock value.
It's shock
content. I
value.
agree.
It is there
completely.
is shock value to it, right? I would agree on the surface, but he does do hi Carmel. He does do quite a bit in terms of like things I think we would all want to do to the car if we did not have the
Yeah,
barrier.
I
of
totally
money.
agree.
No.
It's
So,
like
no,
if I could
like-
buy TJ Hunt's Lamborghini and then take a hammer to it, yeah. I mean, that's
Oh,
up
no,
on
no,
my
no.
list.
No, no, no.
I would not do that.
Tell
Bro,
me-
Get out of here.
Dude, G-Wagon, the G-Wagon video, right? Where he took it all across the track and literally raced
Yeah.
it against, but took it anywhere that he wanted to because he could.
Right.
Tell me that there's not a small 13-year-old in the back
Nah.
of your head that's like,
That one
I
I
have
get.
always wanted to do that, and he got to do it.
Yeah.
That's
no.
not-
I agree. That part
What did he do with it afterwards?
I have no goddamn clue.
probably smashed.
Like, did he drive it into like a animal shelter and light it on fire?
Hey, you leave the animal.
Because I mean, I
out of
feel
this.
like that's something he would do.
Listen,
Jesus Christ.
I would say that there's some shock factor to the content that he does, right? But I do think the reason he's so successful is not just the shock factor. It's because he touches on things that I think a lot of people have always thought of doing, but couldn't
No,
because of the money.
I'm going to disagree with you. Do you know what he does? He waits for something to become popular, and he waits for things to be like super hyped, like people that are like, "Oh man, like as soon as I grow up, I'm going to buy this," or as soon as I have enough money, I want this. Then he goes and buys all of that and then destroys it, which is again, it'd be like it's like taking something that like the whole internet seems to like, right? And then he brings it down to literally nothing by destroying it. That's literally all of his content that I see.
And you and that you don't like that.
I'm not. I don't care because I'm not like, damn, I missed out on a pair of Dior Jordans. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care.
Okay,
But
okay.
somebody did, and then he just lights them on fire, and it's like, okay, I could see where that's kind of funny or whatever. But again, like,
See,
is that like
I see
any sort of valuable content at all?
Here's what I would say. I wouldn't say that it's valuable content. I would say that it's entertaining content. I think he's an entertainer at heart.
Right.
And what I would say
What's
is,
what do you love more than anything? Like, what's your I mean, aside from your cats.
okay, well, careful. He's right
Yeah,
here.
I know, I got you. But like, what's something that like you're super into? Like that you're like passionate about, that you care about.
Well, cars. I mean, I got
Cars?
Cars.
What
martinis.
else? What else do you like? Come on, think. What do you like?
Well, I'm trying to think of what I like. I mean, most of
different
the
hairdos.
cats, cars, and martinis, bro.
Okay, so like,
that's the thing.
so if I got so like, say I had some money and I was like, hey guys, like, do you guys want to watch a demolition derby?
Yeah.
And I went out and I bought like, maybe like what's a car that you like a 996 GT3?
Yeah. That's
Okay,
big
I got
horse.
5 of them, and then I was like, okay, we're gonna do a demolition derby with these 5 cars. You'd be like, Brian, why are you doing that? And I'd be like, because I know it'll upset the internet.
That is valid. That's valid. That's true. I think what I would just say though is
banger
that's
video
still
idea.
entertainment.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, of course, you know what else is? I mean, no, I'll stop myself. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are entertainment. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't make it like.
I just don't think.
All right.
So here's what I would say. I agree with you. I think that there's an element of the attention that he gets because of the fact that he's touching on things that other people can't touch, right? There's this perceived, like, almost goal for a lot of the things that he's taking, and he is bringing down literally to earth, destroying them. But in the same token, is that not just like humanizing things that we look up to that are just nothing more
Yes
than
and no.
materialistic
I have a
objects?
point on this.
No.
Because now Brian has started. He's like converting
Yeah,
a little bit.
see,
So
see?
like he makes some good points. And what I'm thinking of now is this is getting a little deep, but the amount of youth that does watch YouTube
Okay.
and people getting into stuff, is this normalizing destroying shit to make people happy?
Here's my thing. Like, let's say like all of a sudden this Pokemon card became super rare. Like, I don't know a single thing about Pokemon, but say it did. And then he was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go online. I'm going to buy them all. And then I'm going to light them on fire.
Yeah.
Like, okay, why?
Right. Well, because he gets paid.
Because he makes money, yeah.
Here's the thing. The people that are paying him, though, I'm like, it's like you give the dude money, right? And then he's like, instead of using that money to buy your own R32 GTR or your own set of sneakers, you buy his whatever dropship merchandise, and then he uses that money to go buy something that other people want only for the fact of destroying it. Which again, like, I guess, fine, whatever. That's how he makes money. And again, I'm not shading the dude. He's making money. If he wants to go on the internet, say he has more money than me, that's cool too, whatever. I don't care. But like, I think at some point, like, what I see from a lot of automotive, like good ones, we're going to bring this back to like real people. I don't consider him real, but like if you look at like real people that are doing it, right?
Sure.
You look at like, I'll use TJ, I'll use Dustin, I'll use Randy, I'll use Tommy, you know, even though, you know, so what they're doing, right? Automotive YouTubers, they're finding something, and in most cases, they're preserving it. They're making it better. They're teaching you how to get that thing that you want,
Right.
and then what to do with it once you have it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I like if this, like it wouldn't surprise me if like one day he was like, well, you know, 101 Dalmatians was my favorite childhood movie, so I killed these 100 puppies and turned them into a
No.
That's
Okay.
like
No, so
Bringing
here's-
this full circle. One second.
Wait,
I have
no,
one
no,
question.
me first.
Why?
Me.
My question's better than
No,
yours.
there's no way. I'm not asking a question. I'm making a statement.
All right,
Here's what
okay.
I would say. When you say you bring it back to the good YouTubers,
Yeah.
I think at its core, and I think where I'm feeling a lot of maybe conflict, and I would agree, is that somebody like a Whistlindiesel, maybe we can even take his name out of it, but people like that are taking something that is a passion or something that we care for.
Can I go real crazy on you right now?
Something that we are genuinely, like, we care about the benefit of it and in its future, shitting on it.
So, question:
Okay.
Kanye West is an entertainer, right?
Yes.
Here's this rabbit
Oh,
hole.
boy.
All right.
So, and, I'm just saying though.
Look at Mario.
Like, are you gonna say that taking something that people hold totally dear, right? Even if it's their own religion, their own everything, and just absolutely dumping all over it is entertainment?
I would say that the depth of that situation is not the same depth of
A materialistic thing?
Correct.
I guess that's a fair point.
That would be my biggest difference. Now, what I can say is that to a lot of people, they don't. Okay, so here, let me think of this in 30 seconds. For a lot of people, materialistic items are not about the materialistic item. It's about the journey to get to that item.
Right.
It's a lot of the passion, the project, the hard work, the dedication to get the thing. And a lot of times you relate that hard work and that feeling of grinding to the item that you have. That's why people love the cars that they build, the cars that they buy, the houses that they buy, because it's not actually about that thing. It's about everything that they did to get there. So when I see or hear people not liking the Whistlindiesel situation, I think it's because there is none of that past. There's just something that he has that doesn't look like he had to work as hard as other people for, taking it, destroying it, laughing about it, and getting a lot of goons on the internet to do this.
And see, what I see when I see this is I see, like, I'll use the sneaker situation because I know that one moved the internet. I see there's probably a guy out there whose living is to get those sneakers and flip them and make a few $100s on them. That's how he makes a living.
Yeah.
And this dude is just going to totally wreck those. When I see him destroy 2 R32 GTRs, I look at it and say, okay, well, that's 2 less cars that maybe I'll be able to sell. That's 2 less cars that somebody's going to be able to own. You know, when he just goes out and destroying things and is just being destructive about, I mean, I get that it's entertainment, right? I mean, even cars were destroyed in the Fast and Furious movies too. Sad day, right? Lots of things break a lot of things and ruin a lot of things. But what I don't get from him is like the glamorizing of it and like thinking that it's kind of funny when I don't know anybody else that thinks it's funny. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's shock value is all that it is.
But you're somebody that is in the industry, in the scene, trying to preserve the space and is trying to enable the space to become a better version of what it was to the day
Sure,
before.
but okay, even people that aren't though, when people share his content, which a lot of people do, you know, like when they shared that content, do you think they were like, wow, this is so cool, I want to do this? Or are they like, look at this fucking idiot? You know what I mean? Because there's a caption that goes with whatever's shared, right? If I send you something, I'm going to tell you why I'm sharing it.
Yeah.
And it's probably not because, wow, this guy is a genius. I've never thought of that. I should do that to my own cars.
Yeah.
Is probably not the context of that. So at some point, it's like, I get, man, that you're getting a bunch of views and you're making a bunch of money, and I respect you for finding your niche and doing that. Mm-hmm. Like, straight up. On the other side of it, though, like, at what point, like, are people just laughing at you? Like,
Right.
You're a clown.
Yeah.
I agree.
How deep are the roots with the community?
And then when you do want to do something serious, like when people are done laughing at you and you do want to do something, you're that guy.
Yeah. I agree. It is a bit of like tarnishing. Like now you're known for that. You're just the guy that destroys shit.
Yeah, because no real person that cares about building a car is watching your content to take your advice. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need to watch you throw, you know, a Nissan block through the hood of your R32 GTR.
It's true. It's like, what is the mark you're leaving? Like, what do you get remembered for at that point?
And this is where we get into a really weird thing, which is totally not related to cars whatsoever. And until Logan Paul went and did whatever the hell he just did in the last week, it's kind of the same story, though, because when you look at like all his podcasts, all the stuff that he had been doing right now, prior to everything he said on the latest podcast, people were adoring this dude. Mm-hmm. They were supporting him. They were enabling him. They were buying his product. They were buying his
Just
merch.
for clarification, which one posted the dead person on the internet?
The same one.
Got it. Okay, cool. Check it.
So that's exactly what I'm trying to say is he used to be this one version, right? Then posted that video. Everyone shit on him, rightfully so. He came back, made this big name for him again, truly transformed person, and everybody came back and supported him again.
Yeah, but do you know what I still know him as? The guy who posted the dead person on YouTube. Yeah. So
I get it. Okay, so let me ask this question because I'm curious. I want you to answer this truthfully.
Yeah.
He hasn't been answering the
last
portion truthfully at all.
I know. I can. No, he's very passionate. And that's why I want to ask this. Somehow, Whistlindiesel sees this. He's like, God damn, I'm so mad at Brian. I'm going to Top Rank and I'm going to buy every single car in inventory.
Because he probably could.
Then what? What stance do you put on that? Because he has that fucking money.
That dude can knock on the door till his hand goes numb.
So no amount of money.
No, because I
Not selling a car?
and I can tell you, Sean would back me up on this. Oh, we don't have an interest in selling a car to somebody that we know is going to ruin it. We don't even want to sell someone a GTR that we know they're going to put a Pandem kit on it. I just don't want to do it because those cars mean something to us and we care about them. And there's only so many of them. And yeah, you could say a car is a car, but the thing is that I think when you really care about something, you start to think about who the next person is that's going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right. And if those cars aren't around for the next generation, then it's going to make me a dinosaur.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why you see places like Singer, you see places like Gunther Works preserving these cars. That's why you see like EV West turning these cars into electric vehicles, you know, for the next generation and for compliance purposes and all the other kind of stuff. So that way the car doesn't die.
Yeah.
I mean,
I respect that.
I get he gets off on being like this, you know, grinding death machine of all things nice. And that's fine. But dude, go crush some Rolexes or go crush whatever, you know, like to me, like, you know what else?
I think what I like about this is regardless of anyone's opinion, right? Either on the internet watching, yourself, I think it's good to have an opinion and a stance on the things that you're passionate about and that you care for. Right. And I think that's what I'm hearing. I mean, right, wrong, indifferent, whichever way you want to swing it, there's millions of people out there in the world, some with really wild, dumb opinions on the internet. But the fact that you're willing to defend and want to preserve that culture and what you
it's
work
coming
for,
from a good
I mean, like,
space.
it's coming from a good
and in the
spot.
same breath, like another shock value thing that just happened recently is like you get the people that go to the Louvre and they threw the orange paint on the Van Gogh painting,
Yep.
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right.
They did it to a Ferrari F430, by the way.
Sure. And, you know, and it's same thing with like people going out in the streets and, you know, hitting Bugattis with golf clubs and stuff like that. Like, okay, point taken, right? You know, but again, why are you like, what are you getting out of doing that? And I guess, you know, it's bringing
15 seconds of
attention
fame.
and you're getting some views. And like, that's what I feel like. I feel like Whistlindiesel is always reaching for that next 15 seconds of fame because he hasn't built anything real.
And that's I was just gonna say that I think that the translation of the superficial to a foundation with an audience, and this is where we get into content creation and stuff like that. I think that's where you're saying there is no foundation.
No, I mean he constantly has to look for the next thing to like destroy to light the internet on fire. And like the dude is a genius at picking like what people like. You know, I feel like he can sit back, recognize a trend, and say things like, you know what, Skyline GTRs are super hyped. They're really popular right now. And people are going to be pissed if I destroy 2 of them as part of a YouTube series. And everyone is going to show everybody that likes them. And if a lot of people like them, then we'll do that. But like, where does that stop at the next thing? And eventually, you know, it's same thing with the Dior sneakers, same thing with everything else that he does. You know, it's like, okay, these are the hottest shoes to come out this year. I'm going to buy up as many as I can. I'm going to destroy them.
Yeah. I get it. I think the biggest thing that for me is like how we were talking is it's just not like benefiting anyone. It's just that short-term entertainment. I have your attention, and then it's on to the next thing. And there's not any like
The good news
landmark.
is, I will say this because I'm trying to also play a little bit of this that where, to be honest, he's never claimed to be anything but.
Yeah, exactly.
He has never claimed to do anything that you would hope somebody in that space to do, so to speak. He's never said that he's going to do that. He's never been a preserver of things. He's never been a person that's been trying to maybe make that foundation. Maybe the way we look at his content is not the way that he wants his content to be perceived whatsoever. You know what I mean? And I'm not justifying it. That's not what I'm saying.
I get it.
But
Just
at the same point, at
it's
least
working.
The Logan Paul scenario, and I always try to use that as an example because the dude is ultra successful, right? In every single way, is he's teetering on having a foundation versus not having a foundation. And that's where you see a lot of the things that he says or does causes so much controversy, but in a more difficult way because there are people that support him that won't support him if he says certain things. Whereas Whistlindiesel, I think, has never been like, I defend this, this, and this. He's just done. He just is. He just creates. And whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, there's a massive audience of people that are entertained or at least fantasize about that style of living.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, if you had like the Napoleon dream of leading an army of 12 years old,
Listen,
then he's like
dude,
completely achieved that.
And that's
And that could be it too. I mean,
Right.
like,
But it's the same thing as you know, I just try to look at it from the standpoint of I love that the space is defended, right? It has to be defended, right? And when people shit on your lawn, you get upset. Totally get it. But in the same token, I think there are a lot of people that try to play both sides, right? They try to play like, oh, I'm a caregiver. I like to support this, support that, support this. But then everything they push out is clickbait, controversial, causing argument. Like they try to play both sides.
Yeah.
You can't do that. I don't think Whistlindiesel plays a side. I think the side he plays is
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can necessarily be that mad at Whistlindiesel. I mean, it's the people clicking it,
That's
right?
what I'm
It's
saying.
the people
I'm not
making
ma-
him
You
successful.
continue to give the person a stage, he's going to take it.
Right,
And that's,
yeah,
there's nothing I like, even though I don't like his content, like, you know, I would really rather watch a relative's house burn than watch any Whistlindiesel content. But in the same light, like, you can't be mad at him for being successful. It's no different than like if I hear like a Cardi B song and I'm like, this is absolute trash, right? Okay, is that her fault? Or is the fact that I'm listening to it the fault of everyone else that seems to support that? And I mean,
and just
fine.
because and this is important, just because the majority is showing a vanity support doesn't inherently mean it's support. So if you're out there, because we just talked in the last podcast about creating content and you know, how do you get out there and doing things like that, and a lot of times the drug way to go about it would be to create clickbait, to create, you know, negative controversy. Everybody likes bad news. Everybody clicks on bad news. That's why Fox and CNN, all these places exist, you know, and
TMZ.
And I think that in the same element of what you're saying is like, you know, should you have an opinion on it or should you want to create content? You have to ask yourself right at the beginning, what type of person do you want to be known for?
So
What type of audience do you want to create? Do you want one that's enabling or do you want one that's destructive?
here's my final point on him, and then maybe we can move on to some
Yes,
positive
yes,
YouTubers.
yes.
Is that, you know, I think if you took one of Dustin's followers, right, and you gave him an R32 GTR, I think that he would preserve it, he would keep it. The guy would be hyped to have it, and he wouldn't destroy it. I think if you take one of Whistlandiesel's followers and you give him an R32 GTR, I think he would be hyped to have it. I think he would keep it. I think he would preserve it. I don't think he would destroy it. And that's a big difference. I think that even though people think it's funny and people watch it and they share it and they claim to support it, if you gave that person that car, he wouldn't do the same thing with it. I can promise you.
Right.
You would be hard pressed to
'cause
find one of
he's
his
not
followers
getting-
that would be like, well, Whistlindiesel lit his on fire, so I'm going to do the same thing to mine. No,
Right.
a normal person isn't going to do that. So I just don't know who he's catering to.
See, that's what I'd find interesting is because like if Whistlindiesel watches this, he's gonna be like, I'm gonna go find a subscriber, I'm gonna go give him an R32 GTR, and I'm gonna go see what he says.
Well, see, like,
Yep, and then I'm going to make him light it on fire.
yeah, if he made him 100%, but they wouldn't do it because they don't get the benefit of it. And maybe they would though. Maybe they get that 15 seconds of fame. Like I want a car from
$50,000 or
Whistlindiesel.
something.
Yeah,
I
and I want
guarantee you
it.
the
But,
kid would pick up 100,000 subscribers.
and then
like
that, and then,
Yeah.
but then it would be over.
Speaking
Then it
of
would be done.
fires, speaking of fires,
Yep.
switching the subject
Yeah.
to another
We've given
unknown
this guy so much time.
to another unknown. Now I know Luke, Stancy Pants RX-8. I know you don't know the car.
Yep.
Gels knows the car. Do you believe? And I'm trying to make this a more generic question. Do you think people on the internet are? Do you think there's a level of people that would do anything for attention in the current automotive industry?
Well, I think we just
Because-
talked for
no,
20
because-
minutes about it.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's literally
Because I'm trying to explain it. Because if you don't know this, if you don't know Stancy Pants, the RX-8 is a wide body RX-8. The
like
guy
camber, like
negative
crazy.
30 degrees plus. Did an interview with him at Gatlinburg. His car started on fire. It was on the side of the street, and when Luke posted the pictures of the fire, he had said that he thought that it was intentional, that it was arson of some kind, that somebody started his car on fire. Now everybody supported him. You know, Luke gained a ton of followers, a ton of support. I think there was a GoFundMe and things like that. But then eventually it took about a couple days for people to start asking, wait a minute, like,
Was
why-
this a publicity stunt?
was this a publicity stunt? And there's people that own RX-8s that know that the electrical location of the car is literally where that fire was started. It stopped in the very spot where most electrical fires for RX-8s stop. The report came back as incidental. Like it was purposeful, but that doesn't mean if he did it on purpose, whether
So yeah, the biggest thing was this car was built for attention. After a while, attention fades. All of a sudden, car starts on fire, and it's the biggest fucking car enthusiast post on Instagram for a week.
Huge.
It was massive. It took over everything. So then with that, you know, he made a claim right away, hasn't posted since. And he was like, somebody lit my car on fire. I can't believe the community's like this, you know, and we've had people that have met a really nice guy and everything.
And I want to make sure that I'm careful with this too, because I did meet Luke. And when I did interview, he was a really down to earth guy. Very nice.
We're not like calling him out. We're just talking about the situation.
Correct.
Because of this post and because of the notoriety it got, it brought a lot of like, well, wait a minute. What if he lit this car on fire just to get the attention, just like the car was doing before, to bring it back? Because all this shit happened and he's been quiet.
And would you say, I think the thing for me is like, is it that out of pocket? Do I think Luke would do it? I don't know if I think Luke would intentionally start it.
But in the state of this Whistlindiesel culture where people destroy things, is it that far-fetched anymore? No.
And I agree with you. I do not believe that it's that far-fetched to put a story that is beneficial to you when something happens to you in the social.
Yeah, and the biggest thing,
he should have just had Whistlindiesel lighted on fire.
Exactly. Then everything would have been
a lab video.
Yeah.
And no, but like it's like if someone set the car on fire, they're like, why would they start it like on the hood of the car? Like you don't start a car fire.
So
on the
then,
hood of
do you think it was intentional?
I'm gonna give my opinion right now, and I'm pretty sure, like I'm like 90% sure this is it. He gets a ton of hate, so much hate because of how much camera he runs on this car, all this shit,
and
DMs constantly, death threats, constantly, all this stupid shit that shouldn't happen. He walks out of his house, sees the car was on fire immediately. Someone lit my car on fire. That's what you'd assume. However,
it is an RX-8, so
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is.
What I believe happened was an electrical fire in the engine bay. It happened while he wasn't there. The car started on fire because of some shoddy wiring, and he came out immediately, just assumed someone, because of the amount of the hate the dude gets every second of his life. He assumed someone did it, and in reality, it was just an engine fire. However, what's weird though is the police apparently made a statement.
So I have something to say on that, because I would agree. I think Luke probably made more of an emotional immediate response,
which I probably would have done too.
Probably felt people were out to get him.
Yeah.
Made the posters on the side of the road. Luke was not doing the right thing. The car should have been insured. There's some things on the vehicle that probably should have been done differently, but we all have garage builds. That's how it goes. When the cops reported it incidental, that it was caused by someone,
Yeah.
I don't think that means that somebody came with a Molotov cocktail and threw it on the car. I think what the cops were trying to say in the report is that the modification of the vehicle caused the electrical fire in some way, and that was incidental, meaning that they did something to cause the fire because of the car being modified. And I think that's why they closed it out. If it was something where they thought somebody came and damaged a car, the case wouldn't have been automatically closed. It would have been left open. See you later, bud. The case would have been left open until they found somebody that did it, right?
Right.
So I like Luke as a human being based on the interactions that I've had with him, but I don't think it was a malicious intent based on what I know right now.
Brian, what are your thoughts on this? Being someone that didn't know of the situation, what happened, just speaking out loud about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty unfamiliar with this situation. But one, it would be a shame. Nobody likes to see a car get destroyed, right? So it would be a shame if the guy did it himself. It would be a shame if somebody else did it to him. And like you say, when you do modify cars, things like that can happen if things aren't hooked up properly, or wiring is bad or old, or incorrect voltage. It could be anything. I mean,
a lot can happen.
The guy had a lot of. I just saw his car for the first time. All right, yeah. To each their own. But I imagine if you did that level of crazy stuff on it, there's probably a bunch of electronics in the car too. Yeah. So really, I think the takeaway lesson is here is insure your car, keep it in the garage, and know who works on it.
I will say one last thing, and this is something I do stand relatively strong on, is that there was a moment where the community came together on a very controversial moment. Actually, probably a moment that people felt they needed to come together, right? They needed to support this guy because he said that his car was intentionally attacked. Should that not be the case, should Luke find out that it was bad wiring or something that was within his control, I really do want to hold Luke accountable to posting something and saying that it wasn't malicious. I think that the audience, the community deserves that. I don't think the community deserves to go on this headhunt to only follow up to hear nothing from Luke, right? You have all these people that were there to support him, that were there to give him money for the GoFundMe, to do all of this stuff. For him to go ghost, for him to not respond, and for him to not close that out, to me, that's a disrespect. Because if you open that door and you accuse, and then you never close that door or own when you may have made a mistake, you're in trouble. I would rather see Luke come forward and say, you know what, guys, I am sorry. That was not actually somebody, that was my bad wire. And he may get a lot of crap for it, but you'll get we talk about community, we talk about foundation.
Yeah.
He will get a core group of people that say, thank you for doing that.
Right.
Thank you for being real with us and telling us the truth.
I truly think it was no fault of anyone's. I don't personally believe he did it for attention.
No.
I think it was an emotional thing. Came out, dude, your hard work
Gone.
on fire. You're going to be, not thinking straight. Made the post, and then, find out maybe you did it yourself. I think that's why but I truly don't believe, based on the interactions I've heard from everyone in the community that has met him.
In person, talk to him.
Yes, has actually met and talked to us. They're like, everyone that I've talked to about him is like, yeah, he's a cool ass dude. Like, super cool. So, I mean, Luke, Stancy Pants, if you want to be on the podcast, clear the air, more than welcome to.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of
But
Midwest
that's what I think. And everyone just right now thinks. No shade at the dude, but we want some answers at this point.
Yeah, it's just not fair to rattle a cage and then not, resolve it.
Enough about that. We got some community questions here. Let me pull that up. All right. So
Stop yelling at me.
This is a good one. Well, we were talking about a lot of negative stuff. Hopefully this one doesn't go negative, but
no,
hopefully we end on some positive
positive
stuff.
only.
It can be, or it could be as negative as you want. We'll find out. All right. So sexy_F30.
Hey, that's my alternate.
Submitted. How is it actually meeting other YouTubers? So I think this is an interesting one because it's like you put on a show a little bit when you're on YouTube. How much and how real are these people you met? I think we've all in this room have gotten the opportunity to meet some amazing creators and a bunch of different walks of life.
Yeah.
So, Brian, what's your experience been meeting other YouTubers?
Great, actually.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is circumstantial, like how and when you meet somebody. Like if you meet someone by running up to them while they're having dinner with their girlfriend and asking for a photo, that may be different, or if you meet somebody while they're at a signing or they're being swamped by other people, maybe kind of different. But I don't typically meet a lot of people in that way.
Right.
So for me, I think they're just people that are doing their own thing. Not to bring it back to another weird way, but I've never met Whistlindiesel, but I would imagine he's probably not like a bad human being to be around.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just comes off kind of that way in the content.
The
and
brand
same thing,
he's built.
and same thing with a lot of these other YouTubers, a lot of people have kind of this hard side to them or a soft side to them or like an edgy side to them on camera. And then you meet them and you're like, okay, I get that I don't want to say like acting, but you're kind of in a zone and you're sticking with, the persona that you've built on the internet, how people know you. And I think, a lot of people are pretty genuine, but at some point you're like, wow, you're a pretty nice guy.
Yeah.
What about you,
100%.
Dakota?
I've honestly had an amazing experience. And I was so nervous too, because I think it's a common saying out there, don't meet your heroes, right? And before I got into the YouTube space whatsoever, I was watching all of these guys. Crispy, Halcyon, Eliminate, Evan Shanks, that dude in blue, Don't Immediate, all these people I watched, right? And you always hear that stigma of people aren't how they come off, but surprisingly enough, all these people I met have been extremely nice. And even after, leaving and stepping into this new area, they've been so supportive. I still get DMs or comments or messages and stuff like that. And it's been the most humbling experience ever. And I think, I don't know, it's weird to explain. YouTubers, I don't think are necessarily celebrities, even though they are a modern day celebrity. They seem so much more down to earth. And I think it's because a lot of these YouTubers still had to come and like they created themselves. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like these are passionate, driven fucking people. They weren't handed anything. At least the people that I've met, and you see that, and a lot of them too. I was expecting like, okay, this is your persona on camera. Let me see you in real life. A lot of them were maybe just slightly milder, or exactly what they were on camera, and it's been amazing.
I think the interactions that I've had with some of the YouTube influencers out there have all been great. Like the content creators in the automotive space. I mean, I think again, it's what you say, right? It's like the position and the space that you're in. But I've been blessed to meet a lot of these individuals, not so just to create content or to get together for some sort of marketing opportunity. It's just been to like touch base, say hi, shoot the shit, and kind of figure out what they're about. And you do realize that a lot of them are just people that did create their own space. And I think I remember running into Samit when I was at Ibisu, and it was just a really down to earth, awesome, authentic relationship. And now we chat every once in a while on Instagram about him teaching me how to not run into a wall when we drift. And so I do think to the statement of like not meeting your heroes, I think it's about meeting the people that maybe you are influenced by in a space that allows you to learn a little bit more about them. You're not just going to get something like a signature or a picture.
Right. Yeah.
Finding
like Brian said, like don't interrupt
yeah,
them.
finding
and
a
expect
space
this
to have a brief
interaction.
conversation can sometimes mean the world. I mean, I'll kind of attribute it back because I really do like how Dustin has a really authentic relationship with his audience. But like when we were at SEMA and we were running into him at the booth when he was doing his autograph signing, he was going through and he was taking pictures. He was spending time. These guys were bringing other stuff for him to sign. He was doing that. Brian and I were hanging out there. Dustin comes over and he's like, hey guys, how's it going? And he spends, 30, 45 seconds with us, just kind of touching base. He acknowledged that we were there waiting to talk to him for a little bit. He goes back to doing his thing. He comes back over when he's done. There's a way for people to narrow in and just do what they're supposed to do because they're there to sign pictures.
Yeah.
And there are people that are there because they know that the friends are around them to support them. And he made that acknowledgement. He made that difference. And those little moments of influencers being human, I think are what make all the difference.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree completely. Do you guys have a favorite YouTuber that you've met?
That I've met? Oof. Gosh, that's a tough one.
I can't answer this one.
You can't. You like legally
I
cannot.
go over to some of these people's houses and hang out, to be like, because we're friends outside of the space.
Too bad.
It's kind of like,
Come on, air it out.
The other
Let's
thing
go.
is, I don't really watch a lot of YouTube, to be honest with you.
Sure,
You
sure.
know, so I think sometimes I'm a little.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm an avid converser. I watch a fuck ton of YouTube.
Yeah.
That's like what I watch. I don't know why. It's just the way I do. I would say mine personally is, and a lot of, again, they've been fantastic. I'm not like downplaying anyone else. I'm just saying like the one that surprised me the most and I had like the most interaction with was probably Randy from Eliminate, and seeing how down to earth that guy truly is and how he interacts with his community and just the things that he said. And like you said, it's like those subtle things that you notice. They go a long way, and he was just one of the coolest dudes to meet. But yeah, I mean, Dustin Williams and stuff like that too. Super humble guy, nice, soft-spoken, but intelligent in what he's saying. I could go on and on about everybody, but yeah, I think like those two guys probably like the most down-to-earth people that I got the chance to meet.
I would say that I think I've had, and I haven't had many interactions with him, but I've always had good conversation with, would be Jeremiah from Donut.
Yeah.
And I think again, it's the interactions. I've always loved how he brought a lot of like information in the content he created. And I've always really applauded people that have been able to take complex situations or like technological things or mechanical things and break them down in a simple, easy to understand way. Because it's really hard to do that. Like electrical engineers and marketing people, like the joke is that they can't talk to each other because they'd want to kill each other. He can take a lot of those things that a lot of people don't understand and make them understandable. And he's very human when you run into him. I ran into him at SEMA. We chatted for a couple minutes. I ran into him at another event, talked for a couple, and every single time it's, hey, how are things going? What's the updates? And we have a chance to talk back and forth.
He's
and
a
it's just,
smart dude.
I'm gonna
He's
drop
very
a
capable.
name. Just that this isn't. I'm not saying my favorite YouTuber or anything.
Disclaimer.
But just nobody else is talking about him right now, and I'm gonna say it. Larry Chen,
Oh,
one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
yeah.
I've never
Great
had the chance to
content.
meet him.
Great content, great guy.
He just
really,
won
like
the SEMA.
yeah,
SEMA Influencer of the Year.
Yeah.
Which he crossed out and put content creator of the year, which I like.
Yeah,
I
the
do.
influencer is
So,
a sensitive name.
I think Larry does really, really good content. I think he's liked by everyone in the car community.
I've never heard a bad thing about Larry
Well,
Jannusch.
And I
because
think
he carries
because of
himself.
that, yeah.
He carries himself super well.
Yeah, and I think because of that, people open up to him pretty quickly, and he gets access to a lot of things that other people ordinarily might not get. Just because he's such a great guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Good call.
Larry
Good
Chen,
call.
I ran into him at the pre-meet at the, what was it? The tofu,
Type S.
Type S tofu meet, right? The pre-meet on Wednesday night. And he was doing stuff for Type S and taking pictures and hanging out. But he doesn't stop. I think that's one of the cool things about Larry is you never see, or at least I haven't, I've never seen Larry try to get away from a space if he's getting recognized, which is different. If you guys go out and you see influencers get swarmed by people, you know that they're constantly trying to pull into a tent to like hide, right? I never saw Larry do that. He would be taking pictures, doing stuff for Type S. Somebody come up, want a picture. He'd take the picture. He'd have the conversation. And he did it all night. There was not a moment. And then when he's at FD events and he's shooting photos and he's doing all this stuff in the Mini Pass, if somebody's yelling at him like, "Hey, Larry, how's it going?" He'll go, wave, say hi, say thanks, man.
And
Thanks
I
for
love
the
straight
that.
back
support,"
into the zone.
and go right back into it. I mean,
I love that.
there is no gradual on, gradual off. Like you
Right.
see Larry, the switch is on and he's doing everything all the time.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Hopefully I get a chance to meet somebody like that.
He's cool.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I got.
No more
right.
questions?
That's all we got. If
right.
you guys want the questions in the next podcast, you can just drop it in the comment section below. Then, if you guys can, it would mean a lot. Go read a couple comments, see what other people are saying, maybe reply to them, see if you agree or disagree, and then let us know who you'd like us to have on the podcast next. The whole goal is that this is just creating a community. That's it.
Yep. And I think I have one more question for Brian because it sounded like he really wanted one. So I'm going to
What the
say
hell?
I'm just,
you've gotten to drive a lot of cars.
yeah.
And I'm just going to put it on there right now to end this shit statement that's always out there. GTR versus Supra. You get one, and I don't want to hear, well, if I'm on the track, or
They're not
well,
the
if I'm
same
dealing
car.
I know.
If
I
it's
know.
a Wednesday
no,
at 7 o'clock
I'm-
and the 65
Whistlindiesel
degrees.
has both your cars in front of you, and he's going to destroy one. Which one are you saving?
That's different.
No.
That is no. Because preservation versus which one is better to drive are two different things.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
Different things.
Which
Well,
one?
no, I still want to hear though. I'm still curious. One in front of you is about to get smashed and destroyed. Which one are you just keeping? That's what I'm asking.
Look at those teary eyes. They're coming out.
Like, oh my God, this is my worst fucking nightmare. I'd rather watch a nursing home burn.
At Whistlindiesel Films.
Yeah. Okay. We're not talking Supra versus GTR. We're talking Supra.
Sentimental value
My
here?
Supra versus my R32 GTR.
Okay, yeah.
That's what you're asking. me.
Yes.
Supra.
Okay, there we go. There it is. Settle. Supras are the best car, and GTRs kind of suck, unfortunately. So thanks, Brian.
GTR is a better car.
That's gonna be
GTR is better.
The new clickbait. Literally, the clickbait's gonna be Brian from Top Rank hates GTRs! Exclamation point!
He
Exclamation
says
point!
Supras are better.
Yeah. It's just gonna be that 4-second clip, a short.
No, Brian, I appreciate you coming on.
thank you.
Thank you.
The GTR you have, beautiful. The Supra
Thanks.
you have, phenomenal.
Thank
So
you. Yeah.
I can understand why you
And the new cars that you're bringing on board. I'm excited to see. You
Yeah.
have a very tasteful look at cars, so I'm excited to
thanks.
see what you do with those.
Oh yeah,
cars.
the period correct stuff. I super excited to see what you do with the R34. And what was the other car you said you got coming?
S15.
S15.
Yep.
So okay, real quick.
No, what?
Is the S15? Are you just flipping it? Or are
It's
you
like an
keeping
M.
it?
Night
No,
Shyamalan movie.
I don't sell anything.
Oh fuck
Yep.
yeah!
Yeah, he doesn't sell stuff.
Yep.
Get with the picture.
All right.
All right, we'll see you later.
Sell
We'll
other
talk
cars.
to you later. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.